Hi, everybody. This is Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. You are watching this because I am not at the archive, because I'm doing something that was a last minute thing. And I've picked some films that reflect what I'm going through at the moment that you're watching this. I'll let you guess what it is, but the first film is Trader Thorn, which is a film I don't think it's Jam Handy. It's Jam Handy-esque, but it's a Ford Motor Company, and it is about the importance of used cars. The next is Hired, which is a Jam Handy film, which is about car salesmen and helping you sell. That's another Jam Handy, which is also about car sales. And then finally, a film that I really, really like. It's kind of this interesting 70s slice of life film called Trader Vic's Used Cars, and we get to see Trader Vic running a used car lot, and yeah, it's pretty great. So they're cutting down trees outside my house, so I apologize for the sounds. But anyways, we'll be back the next weekday. I don't know if this is going to air Thursday or Friday, but yeah. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you saw, hit the thumbs up, hit the like. You can contribute via the super thanks button or ko-fi.com/avgeeks or patreon.com/avgeeks. Those are great ways to support us. Anyways, we'll see you soon. Enjoy.
Gentlemen, this country of ours is unique in one very important respect. We're the only nation in the world where practically every family has its own transportation system. Here in America, there's an automobile for every 4.5 people. And every car and truck you see on the road was put there by some salesman. The automobile business offered a great opportunity for salesmen in the past, and because car buyers have been so well satisfied with this method of individual transportation, the selling of automobiles offers a still greater opportunity to salesmen today. But the fact that practically every family already has an automobile puts the new car salesman into the trading business. A salesman's job today is to trade the prospect out of his old car or truck and put him in a new one. That's why every Ford salesman must be skilled in trading techniques. And now, gentlemen, we're going to break up this meeting with the usual closing thought. The Ford salesman's biggest investment is his time. Make the most of it. Okay, boys, let's bring in some deals. Herb Porter, and Joe, like to talk to you 2 minutes. Herb, one of the best ways for a new man to get started in this business of selling cars and trucks is to spend a little time with someone who knows all the angles. Now, Joe Thorne here is a good man to show you the ins and outs of the business. Joe, I'd like to have you take Herb with you for a few days, see how you do things. Is that all right with the both of you? Sure.
You bet it is, Mr. Fuller.
Okay, then, the best of luck to you, Herb.
And did you have good luck, Herb?
Well, Charlotte, that's something you can't just answer with a yes or a no. A lot of things happened, and...
Tell me about them, Herb.
Well, it's a long-winded story, but anyhow, we went for a ride in Joe's demonstrator. Mr. Thorne,
Joe. It's Joe, Herb.
Okay, Joe. I was wondering, I understand you're at or near the top in sales every month. So that means you must do things a lot different, huh?
No, I don't think so, Herb. Maybe it's just that I do more of the same things. You see, it's like Mr. Fuller says. Time's my greatest investment. And, well, I hope this doesn't sound stuffy, but I try to make the most out of every minute.
But I had the idea cars were always sold in the showroom.
Uh-uh. Some of them are, but most of them are sold by going out after the customers. Hey, there's Dick Jones. Hey, Dick. Got anything for me today, Dick?
Yeah, Joe, I sure have. I was going to give you a call. Get in touch with Bert Jasper, 1040 Gladstone. He's got a 46 Ford four-door, and he looks hot.
Okay, thanks a lot, Dick.
Thanks to you for that check you sent me last week. I'll keep sniffing. So long, Joe.
So long, Dick.
What's all that about, Joe?
Well, Dick's one of my bird dogs. He's good for 3 or 4 hot tips a month.
Bird dog?
Yeah, guys who tip me off when somebody's thinking about buying a car.
How many of these bird dogs do you have?
Oh, maybe 10 or 15 with 5 or 6 I can depend on.
Are they all salesmen like Dick?
Oh, no. No, you might find a good bird dog almost any place. One of my best ones is a barber.
Yeah. Oh, hello, Joe. No, I'm not too busy. Yeah, I got one yesterday. A 47 Pontiac convertible. Uh-huh. Yeah, the license number is, BR3728. Yeah, sure, Joe. So long.
Another good one runs an independent garage. He buys a lot of parts from us.
Hiya, Mike. What do you know today?
Not much I'm going to let you in on, Joe Thorne.
I'll be satisfied if you just tell me who's thinking about buying a new car.
Oh, that much I'll do. Customer in here yesterday got his 1946 Ford Coupe fixed up so he could make a better deal on a trade-in. Oh, here it is. Name's Alec Latimer, 230 Forest Avenue.
Okay, much obliged, Mike. I'll get right on that. See you later.
I'm sure of that. So long.
And besides those, I've got another good bird dog who's a car washer and one who works in a gas station. And look what we have here. Good morning, sir. My name's Joe Thorne. I'm with Jack Swift, Ford dealer. We got a buyer for a car like yours, but I've got to move fast. If I can get you more than it's worth, will you trade today?
When I want to buy a new car, I'll know what to do about it.
Very well, sir. Here's my card. If I can help you, let me know. Bye.
Right.
That didn't work so good, did it?
Well, maybe not, maybe so. He's got an idea he didn't have before. I might hear from him later. Anyhow, the more you tackle, the more you get. Only time I can sell anything is when I've got a possible customer standing right in front of me. So I ask a lot of people to buy. Oh, there's another one. Morning, sir. My name's Joe Thorne. I'm with Jack Swift, Ford dealer.
Yeah?
We need a model like yours to balance our used car stock. If I can get you a real good deal on a new Ford, would you trade today?
What's your offer?
Oh, what do you think it's worth?
Look, this was your idea. It's up to you to supply the figures.
All right. According to the prices in today's paper, your car is worth around $1,000, Mr.
A bullet. Yeah, but keep talking. You said you'd give me more than it's worth.
And I will, too. How much will it take, Mr. Bullock?
Every cent I can get. And that'll come to just about $1,200.
I think I can get it through for you at $1,100.
Nope. It's $1,200 and no deal.
Well, maybe I can get it for you. Suppose you let me take your car over to our place to see what I can do.
Well, what am I going to do for a car?
Well, you can use mine, Mr. Bullard. Give you a chance to feel the difference.
Okay, I'll do that.
Can you come in around 2 o'clock, Mr. Bullard?
Yeah, I think so.
You see, Herb, that'll do 2 things. Bullard will come into the showroom because we've got his old car, and he'll get a good selling on Ford by driving it. That's why I always keep my demonstrator in good shape. Clean, lubricated, top running condition.
It's a good idea. You going back to the showroom now, Joe?
No, we've got an appointment at the Thaler Nursery. Mr. Thaler's in the market for a 10.5 stake truck.
You sell trucks, too?
Sure, I sell trucks. That's the beauty of our job. We're not limited in this dealership to passenger cars. We can also sell trucks. As a matter of fact, I've got quite a few fleet customers. You know, businessmen who buy both passenger cars and trucks from me. Believe me, that builds up the old paycheck.
Yes, I suppose it does. I thought you almost had to be an engineer to sell trucks.
Oh, no. Well, of course, now and again, you get into a deal where you have to figure, well, special equipment, weight distribution, that sort of thing. But in cases like that, I just call on the truck specialist or the sales manager to give me a lift. But most of the time, especially on pickups and panels and stakes, the customer has a pretty good idea what he wants. And it's usually just a matter of getting together on price. This is a trading business in trucks, just as it is in passenger cars.
But how do you find prospects for trucks?
Well, that's sometimes easier than it is to find prospects for passenger cars. The logical place to look, of course, is among people who use trucks. Oh, this little folder comes in mighty handy when you want to sell a truck. It shows the kinds of trucks that are used by different businesses.
Yeah, it looks all right. Incidentally, do you ever make any cold approaches on truck prospects?
Oh, sure thing.
Tell me, Joe, the way you go up to strangers and start trading with them, doesn't that take a lot of nerve?
No, not after you get used to it. You gotta look at it this way, Herb. Practically everybody would rather be driving a new car or truck than the one they're driving now. So you're doing them a favor when you show them how they can buy one. Well, here we are. We're ready to give you an attractive trade-in allowance, Mr. Thaler, because it'd mean a lot to us in advertising to get you into a new Ford truck.
How much would you give?
We'll put you into a new 10.5 Ford. We'll take your old Chevy as a down payment, and your payments will come to only $65.10 a month for 24 months.
How much allowance is that?
That's an allowance of $625.
Uh-huh. That's just about what the Chevrolet man said. And I've always been satisfied with my Chevrolets.
You do a lot of your own driving, don't you, Mr. Thaler?
Yeah, most of it.
Then the additional comforts you get in a Ford truck will be interesting to you. Our cabs have all the comforts you expect in a passenger car. For example, the Ford truck has a thick, springy, rubberized hair padding that can't mat down or pull apart. And besides these advantages in driver comfort, safety, and convenience, you get the ruggedness for long life that Ford's always been noted for. Compare the clutches, for example. The Ford truck clutch has 20% more facing friction area than the Chevy. That gives you a good idea of the general overall difference between the two. The figures I quoted you, Mr. Thaler, are on the 6-cylinder engine. But for those long, high-speed hauls of yours into the city, what you really need is an 8. Chevy doesn't make an 8. Ford gives you a more flexible choice of power plant. Now, here's something else I'd like you to notice.
Think you did any good there, Joe?
Yeah, I do. I'm sure of one thing, though. You can't hurry a man like Thaler. He'll think over what I told him, and he'll study that catalog. Of course, I'm going to keep in touch with him.
Where'd you get all that dope about trucks?
I'll show you when we get back to the office. There you are, Herb. The dope about trucks. The data book, truck selector, all the rest of it. Look it over if you want to while I go see what it'll cost to get Bullard's 46 Chevy fixed up for the used car lot.
Okay, Joe.
Well, looks like we can swing a deal with Bullard if he'll go for a 4-door.
Boss okay?
Boss won't know anything about it. Not until Bullard signs the order.
Kind of sure of yourself, aren't you?
Oh, I miss sometimes. Calling that prospect Dick gave me.
Who's Dick?
The bird dog we met on the street this morning. Hello, Miss Jasper. This is Joe Thorne with Jack Swift, the Ford dealer. I understand you and Mr. Jasper are thinking about buying a new Ford. That news certainly does get around, doesn't it? Well, I called to tell you that we have a customer for a model just like yours, and we can make you a very attractive trade-in allowance on a new Ford. If I can come over and talk to... Oh. Well, when will he be back in town? I see. All right, then I'll call you on Friday. Thanks very much. Goodbye.
Is that another prospect?
Yeah, this is a competitive owner. I try to call at least 5 every day. Hello, Mr. Freetag. This is Joe Thorne with Jack Swift. Oh, you did? Well, I should have been more on my toes, shouldn't I? Well, it won't happen again. All right, I'll call you back in about 11 months. Yeah. Oh, but bring your new car in for service anyhow, will you, Mr. Freetag? All right. Thanks a lot. Bye. Oh, sure, Mr. Charters. Plymouth's a good car. But the new Ford's got a lot of features you don't get in the Plymouth. Yeah. Well, you don't want to do anything until you at least drive the new Ford. I'll stop by your house tonight about 8 o'clock. Okay? Fine. Thanks a lot. I'll see you this evening. Well, that takes care of the competitive calls. Let's go get some nourishment.
That sounds interesting, too.
I was wondering if you two ever thought about food.
Oh, sure. We're almost human. We spent the biggest part of a half hour at lunch. Then we went out the back door to the restaurant parking lot.
What are you doing now, Joe? Part of my advertising campaign. I put out about 10 of these cards a day on the best cars during my lunch hour.
10 a day, that's 60 a week. If all those cars come in,
They don't, though, Herb. Only about 1 in 10 ever shows up. Watch that fellow. See what I mean? But I pick up a lot of good deals that way. Oh, come on, let's get the rest of our advertising out and go back to the showroom. Oh, there's one from my list.
On what?
License number of that 46 Plymouth going there. Come on inside and I'll show you what I do with them. Hello, Miss Moore.
Oh, Mr. Thorne.
Will you look up some license numbers for me?
Certainly.
Miss Moore finds a lot of good prospects for me in license numbers.
Well, here's one I didn't find for you, Mr. Thorne. This man called while you were out. He wants to know about that demonstrator you advertised.
Oh, yeah, thanks a lot.
Oh, and Mr. Buller's waiting for you in one of the closing rooms.
Well, thanks again. It's the 4-door you want, isn't it, Mr. Bullard?
That's right.
And you want the radio, the heater, white sidewall tires, and the overdrive.
Overdrive? Oh, I hadn't given any thought to that.
Well, that's a feature that'll pay for itself in the gas it saves, Mr. Bullard. Let's see, you live in Claremont, don't you?
Uh-huh.
That's about 40 miles a day round trip. With the overdrive, you'll see a big difference in the amount of gas you use.
How much does it cost?
It'll only add $4.50 to your monthly payments, Mr. Bullard.
Well, okay.
All right, let's see. That brings your payments to $45.55 a month. If you'll just okay this offer, we'll see what the boss has to say about it.
Yes, sir. That's a good deal, Joe. If they were all that clean, I'd be a much happier man. By the way, how's our new man, Herb, getting along?
Well, there's the Bullard deal, Herb.
They all that easy, Joe?
But I get my share of them. Now I gotta sell Bullard's old car. I still got time to get this ad in tomorrow's paper. You see, Herb, Bullard's car belongs to me for 48 hours. After that, anybody can sell it. Anyway, the sooner I sell it, the more I make, because that price is gonna go in just one direction, and that's down.
I get it. I've been meaning to ask you, Joe, about these newspaper ads you run. They really pay off, huh?
Oh, sure. Being in business for myself, I've got to run personal ads. Hey, that reminds me. That call Miss Moore gave me. Yeah, here it is. You want to see the ad that brought it in? Hello, Mr. Faulkner. This is Joe Thorne. You called me about my Ford 4-door. Yeah, what kind of car do you have? Yeah. Well, we ought to be able to make you a very attractive offer, Mr. Faulkner. Well, I can't tell you that until I see your car. When can you come in? All right, fine. I'll see you then. Okay, goodbye. Now, I'll get this ad off to the newspaper, and we've still got time for some more cold approaches. Okay, Herb?
Okay, Joe. Let's go. And so we spent the rest of Monday and the early part of the evening making more cold approaches.
I told you it'd be long-winded, Charlotte, but that's the story.
It wasn't long-winded at all. It's very interesting. Did you do the same thing on Tuesday and today?
Yes, we did. The same things and more. We made a lot more cold approaches, got in touch with more bird dogs, called some more competitive owners, picked up a few more license numbers, and put out some more if I could would you cards. And then yesterday, when Joe was on floor duty, I got a chance to see the difference in handling prospects you go out after and those who walk into the showroom. These people, the Armstrongs, like almost everybody else who drops in, were only interested in how much they could get for their old car. But instead of making them a high-action offer the way he did with Bullard, Joe came in with a low-action offer.
I'd say that car was worth around, $875.
What? You're crazy.
That's what your car's worth on the market, Mr. Armstrong. Here are some prices in today's paper on models like yours.
So Joe quoted him the market figures, and the Armstrongs acted very unhappy. In fact, Mr. Armstrong made it plain he wanted $150 over the market to make a deal out of it. But that didn't bother Joe. He just made a note of the $1,025 and began selling the new car and as many accessories as he could so the deal would get closer to a reasonable figure. Then Joe got him into a pretty good humor by spending a few minutes with the showroom demonstration kit, hitting the features he knew Mrs. Armstrong would like.
Oh, it is beautiful.
They agreed that they wanted a four-door with white sidewalls, a heater, a radio, and seat covers, with Joe making notes on all this.
And you want the regular time payments to cover the balance, Mr. Armstrong?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that allowance on your old car is pretty steep. But if you'll okay this...
Hold on there. You haven't agreed to my terms.
Well, these are your terms, Mr. Armstrong. But I'll do my best to get the boss to go for them.
He'd better.
I watched the Armstrongs while Joe was checking the price, and they acted like a couple of kids. He was bragging like he'd bought the Fort Knox Gold for a counterfeit slug, and she was cooking up the story she was going to tell all her friends and relatives. That Ford was practically in their garage when, bang, Joe came back.
Everything all right?
Boss wants to know if I'm out of my head talking about $150 over market value.
The deal's off?
Oh, dear.
No, he'll play along with us. He'll give you $100 over market value on this car with overdrive. On that basis, he might consider it.
Might.
Well, that's what he said. I think I can swing it with him.
And so Joe sold the overdrive hard before the Armstrong story came to a happy ending. They got a good deal. Jack Swift made a profit. Joe Thorne made a sale, and I...
Yes, dear?
Well, I learned something. I learned the difference in handling prospects you go out after, like on cold approaches and putting if I could would you cards on their windshields. That kind you make a high-action offer to get them interested. But the walk-ins, you make them a low-action offer so you can go up while they're coming down.
But, Herb, is that fair? To offer a low price to one and a high price to another?
Well, that's just the point, honey. You see, customers are good traders, too. They're always after the best deal they can get. And we always give them the best deal we can. In fact, they frequently end up getting more money than their old cars are really worth. But you've got to know the market value of used cars. And you get that from watching the newspapers and checking the used car lots.
I think you're really going to have fun selling Fords, Herb. You certainly weren't this enthusiastic on your other job.
Darling, if I could, would you?
Why, what do you mean, Herb?
If I could make a good living selling Ford cars, would you marry me?
Of course, darling. I told you as soon as you found a job you were happy with, I would. This is the best offer I've had today.
It's the best deal in town.
Jimmy, you ought to make a big success selling Chevrolets. I think you've got what it takes. You joined us with a fine reputation as a salesman in other lines.
Gee, thanks, Mr. Warren. Of course, I've never sold Chevrolets before, but I believe I can do it.
I'm sure you can, Jimmy. And I want you to know that I picked you as the most likely to succeed out of a number of young men we've been considering to fill this opening in our sales organization.
That's mighty flattering, Mr. Warren. I'm going to do everything I can to try to prove you're right. I want to get started just as soon as I can, too. Do I start selling right away?
Well, first you got to know your product. Now, here's some things you want to do before you even think about contacting.
None of these prospects seem much good. Well, they're the best I've got, so I'll stay with them. Yeah, I thought I knew something about trucks. But there were 3 different models that seemed to fit his job. I didn't know which one to concentrate on.
Oh, well, you can't sell them all.
No. But I'd hate to think that sale I made to old man Simmons day before yesterday is going to have to last me all month. I don't know what's the matter. I just don't seem to get the hang of this business. But you see, Mr. Brooks, the Chevrolet knee action assembly is different than the Plymouth unit.
I understand the Plymouth has the most expensive construction of any car. What's the difference in the 2 knee actions?
Well, I don't know the difference, but I do know that Chevrolet is better. Didn't do so well there. And there's that call on Beacon Street. It's way over on the other side of town. Well, might just as well go after it right now. Mr. Harrington, $390 is just the absolute best we can do on your car.
And that's exactly the reason why I won't buy. You're too far out of line.
But Jimmy, we've got 539 Ford 2-doors on the lot now. We just can't go another cent higher on an appraisal. We don't need 39 2-doors.
Okay. I see your side of it.
thought you two boys might like some refreshments. So here's a pitcher of nice, cold lemonade.
Thanks, Mother.
Got something mighty important on your mind these days, haven't you, son?
Oh, not especially. Just the usual things. Business, you know. Sales problems, salesmen.
Now, don't try to fool your old dad. There's something extra special worrying you, or I miss my guess.
You know, I was just wondering. Take the average young fella today. He won't get out and work the way we used to when I started to sell.
What makes you think that?
Well, take this young fella, Jimmy Hill, for example. Last month, when I was looking for another new car salesman, he looked at me to have twice as much on the ball as anybody else I could find.
He looked like a pretty good boy to me, too. Isn't he working out?
Oh, yes, he makes a sale now and then. But that isn't the kind of a man I need, or want.
Hasn't the man learned the knack of selling, I suppose?
Well, I guess not, or else he'd be doing a great deal better.
Don't you know what he's doing wrong?
I can see enough from his sales reports.
Been pretty much on his own, then.
Yes. But he's had a good, thorough basic training. I haven't got the time to play nursemaid any of the salesmen.
Maybe not, son. But I wouldn't know about that. That isn't what Harry Carpenter told me when you started out to work for him 11 years ago.
But I got out and worked. Hard. And that's what I'm concerned about right now. Young fellas today won't work the way we did 11 years ago.
Maybe not, son. And then again, maybe they're working harder than you think. Today, you may feel that you were a pretty good man when you first started in this business. And you probably were. But you owe a lot of your success to the way Harry Carpenter worked with you. Got you started straight. He used to tell me about the mistakes you made. You may not have known it, but you really served an apprenticeship. Every man does. Has to. In every business.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Remember how closely he worked with you the first year? He used to tell me about it.
Yeah, I remember how he used to talk to me about my prospects and how I was to handle some of them. But you know, I always thought that was because he knew you so well. Maybe he had more of a personal interest in me.
Nonsense. Not Harry. He worked that hard with every man he ever hired. And he was smart enough to realize that he knew more about selling cars than any man on his sales force. And that it took his direction and leadership to get the most out of his men. And I don't believe men have changed much since then. Now about this Jimmy. Doesn't he work? Doesn't he get in for the morning sales meetings?
Oh, yeah, he's always punctual. He never misses. But take his prospects, for example. Why, I looked them over the other day, and it's just about the poorest list I've ever seen. I remember one of the first things that Harry drilled into me was the importance of having a good list of prospects.
Yes?
Then he showed me how to go about getting it, how to keep it up, how to cover the list, and how often. Why, I had the importance of prospects drilled into me from the very first day I started to work.
Has Jimmy?
Has Jimmy what?
Had the importance of prospects pounded into him since the first day he started to work.
Well, I've told him how important they are.
Yeah, but have you shown him how, when, and where to get them? Have you checked on him every day to see that he did it right?
But Dad, I've got other work to do.
Harry wasn't too busy to make a good man out of you.
Huh? Say, I think I'm beginning to see what you mean. I wonder. Say, maybe that's the reason I haven't had very much luck with Jimmy. Or with Henderson, that other fellow I hired last year. You know, he looked pretty good to me too, Dad, when I first hired him.
Certainly would be worth a try.
Yes, sir. Come to think of it, the time I'm spending on other things right now might be costing me a whole lot more than I think. Men need leadership. Leadership is important. Oh, I've always known that, Dad, but I never thought about it in connection with my own business. But starting Monday morning, I'm going to stir things up a bit. I'm going to show these fellas what leadership really means. And then we'll see. Sales are the most important thing in this business. And we're going to work closer together than we have in the past in order to get more sales. Well, that's all for this meeting, but I want to check with each one of you personally before you go out this morning. Jimmy, I'll talk with you first. The meeting's adjourned. Jimmy, from what you say, I'd put these two away for 2 weeks. Your time is too valuable to be spending on them right now. And then I'd take these 4 in this order to conserve your time in covering them. Now, have you got any others up in this end of town when you get up there?
No, sir. I don't believe I have.
All right. I'll give you the names of 3 Chevrolet owners who live up that way. And all 3 of them should be about ready to buy. Harry, I don't think you drove quite far enough with that prospect before you let him take the wheel.
Yes, Mr. Warren, but he bought the car.
Yes, I know, but I'm speaking about your demonstrations in general. I noticed that you're inclined to turn the wheel over to your prospect pretty early in the demonstration ride. Now, you know, of course, that when you drive first, the prospect almost invariably drives back over the same route that you took.
Yes.
Then if you'd driven onto that rough stretch up on Summit Avenue, you wouldn't have to direct him over it later. That would give you a chance to have him keep his mind more on the car than on the road. You see, it's usually best to. I'll go along with you again this morning, Jimmy, on these first 2 calls.
Gee, that'll be swell, Mr. Warren. I'll sure appreciate your help. I always learn something, too, when we go out together.
See him again tomorrow. And be sure to have Mrs. Beck come into the showroom tonight with her husband.
Okay, I'll sure do it. And thanks again for your help, Mr. Warren.
That's where your truck data book comes in. You'll find the information you want on that special equipment right back here. Now show this information to your prospect, too. Just don't keep glancing at it and then telling him about it. Let him read it. Very often, the printed word is a big help in closing the sale. Just too many of them on hand now, George. That's the reason we couldn't afford to offer a higher appraisal.
Yeah, I can see your side of the picture.
Yes, but there's a good side, too, George. For example, right now, we have a single 39 Plymouth 4-door on the lot. And that means we can afford to make somebody a pretty good offer.
Say, I've got a prospect downtown with one of those. Not too hot, but I was going to get to him again in the next few days.
Fine, get him in here today, and I'm sure we can make him an offer that'll close a deal for you. And besides, we can use. Mr. Milton, you can depend on what our Mr. Hill here has just told you. And I'll give you my own personal word, too, that if you have any trouble along that line, we'll make it good.
Well, I don't know. The last 2 cars I bought when I had trouble, it was always my fault, never the cars.
We want you to be just as satisfied with your new Chevrolet next year, Mr. Milton, as you will be next week.
That's exactly right. You see, we couldn't have afforded to make the investment we have here unless we gave the kind of satisfaction that make our customers come back to us year after year. We want you to be a regular customer too, Mr. Milton. In fact, we hope you'll buy your next 10 cars from us. That's why we'll give you the kind of service it takes on this one to bring you back for the next one, and the next, and the next, so on. You see, that's the only way we can hope to... Believe me, leadership pays. First, hire good men, and then see that they're well trained on their own product and on competitive products. Second, be sure they have all the equipment and selling helps they need and know how to use them. Third, help them plan their work to make the most effective use of their time. And fourth, stay in close touch with every man. Know what each one is doing. Work with them. And fifth, keep up their enthusiasm. Encourage every man, every day. And never forget, as I did, that people who represent you need your help.
Many people fish with a single hook and line. By this method, however, they can only catch one at a time. Long ago, commercial fishermen learned to locate whole schools of fish, drop a net around them, and draw them in by the thousands. The mass method is the profitable one. Many farmers use a single plow. It is effective when you have only a small acreage to till. Farmers with thousands of acres to cultivate use great gang plows to turn many furrows at one time. In modern agriculture, machine methods are used through the whole cycle of farming. Mass farming is economical farming. In the early days of the automobile business, making a car was a slow, laborious, and expensive job, one car at a time. But today, with modern production methods, we make thousands of cars in the time formerly required to make one. Using the great principle of standardization, which has made possible mass manufacturing, direct mass selling has taken those parts of a sale which are the same for every prospect and is handling them on a mass production basis. Direct mass selling is as practical as mass fishing, as logical as mass plowing. It is doing for retail selling what mass production has done for manufacturing. Thousands of shoppers wanting thousands of things, and many manufacturers competing with each other to satisfy them. Manufacturers depend on advertising to make an impression on this market, and on retail outlets with salesmen to sell the goods. All manufacturers have the advantage of both these methods, but retail salesmen cannot reach all prospects with a full explanation and understanding of the features of a product. All automobile manufacturers have advertising, all manufacturers have retail outlets, and all have salesmen. And this is the job we were asking our retail salesman to do. We expected him to sell every prospect: the Chevrolet institution, emergency performance, engineering features, manufacturing efficiency, durability and dependability, economy, appraisal, price, appearance, ordinary performance, and close the deal. Certainly we were asking our salesman to do more than any salesman could be expected to do. But remember, there are some of these things only the salesman can handle. Every good salesman is qualified to meet and handle any question on appearance. He is in the best position to demonstrate the car's ordinary performance, and only the salesman can handle price, appraisal, and close the deal. But we must help the salesman to handle all these other elements, because any one of them may be the determining factor in the sale. We can and do help him with advertising, the most powerful advertising in the industry. But competitors advertise too, with clever phrases that cloud the real issues and with claims our advertising cannot handle nor effectively disprove. And the best of salesmen can reach and do all of this selling work with only a limited number of people. That was the situation in the automobile business until March 11, 1935. On that date, we introduced direct mass selling. With this new method, we are bridging the gap between advertising and retail selling, beginning where advertising leaves off and continuing to where the salesman can and will go on. With direct mass selling, we are going into the dealer's community and reaching the young people of America in the high schools and universities who have so much influence in deciding what car the family will buy. We are going into the organized group and all classes of club meetings and reaching the influential business and professional men who have the money to buy our merchandise. We are going into the great factories, mills, and industrial organizations and reaching thousands of men and women on their payrolls, presenting a strong selling message which is winning the esteem and goodwill of industrial America. We are going into the community theaters and selected areas, reaching entire families in the dealer's community with entertaining pictures that give them an educational selling on exclusive Chevrolet engineering features. This completes the circle of community influences built up about the dealership through our selling work done in the dealer's neighborhood schools, selling work done among the employees of the industrial organizations, selling work done in the family showings at the community theaters. All of these factors working together are building up influences in the community which no dealer can create for himself, bringing complete and convincing selling presentations direct to buyers and to those who influence buying decisions. Now here is the way direct mass selling actually works. We have gone under the hood and into the heart of the engine to sell the hidden values which are responsible for the superior performance of Chevrolet,
so that the engine can develop its full power. And another thing, with the hot burn gases going out near the spark plug, that portion of the combustion chamber gets hotter than the rest. So when fresh gas comes in, it is quickly heated and ignites the instant the spark plug fires.
We have reached into the car and pulled out knee action, throwing it upon a screen 12 feet high where everybody can see it, understand exactly how it works, and why it is such a great improvement.
Now that the front springs are made just as soft as those in the rear, they don't have anything to do except make the roads smooth and the passengers comfortable.
We have gone down under the car and uncovered Chevrolet's perfected hydraulic brakes and made plain and understandable just what they mean in safety to the driver.
We get rid of more heat, and the more heat we can get rid of, the better the brake.
We have taken the audience into parts of the car where they never could go and have shown them Chevrolet's greater advances in engineering design. Mass selling has told the story of Chevrolet's extra values and is selling those things the salesman cannot be expected to sell to millions of buyers and those who influence buying decisions. Mass selling has told the Chevrolet story with newsreels.
Water from hundreds of wells, operated by sturdy automobile engines, pumping 1,200 gallons of water every minute, day and night, with never a stop.
Without efficient shovels like this and sturdy trucks to carry away the rock, many more years would be required to complete the building program.
And that makes this automobile the only one in existence with a double turret top.
With institutionals. with thrilling, dramatic demonstrations of spectacular emergency performance. Right now, while we sit in this meeting, mass selling using all the spectacular resources of sound pictures and animated cartoons in color is helping to sell great masses of people in the way they like to be sold.
Well, I started back in 1965. I'm still at the same location. I borrowed $800 from my mother, and I bought 16 $50 cars with my $800. And I don't know anything about cars. I knew if I wanted to build a finance company, which was my purpose, the car business to me is incidental. I knew that I would have to merchandise. Well, to merchandise without any money only means one thing. You better start getting people in. I have no money to advertise. And I marked every one of these cars $99 in big letters in yellow poster paint across the whole front windshield. I opened up on a Friday, and by Sunday night, I had sold approximately 24 cars. And the reason for the 24 cars was because I took in some trades. Some of them I delivered for $25 down, $10 down. It made no difference. I wanted those weekly payments of $10 to come in.
My name's Trader Vic. Actually, it's Victor Snyder. I own this used car lot. If this wind keeps up, we're going to do no business today. But if it just comes out sunny and stays that way for just a few hours, we ought to get out 10 or 12 cars today, and it would be a super day. The one way at the end? Oh, it is a Skylark. Yeah. Yeah, $119.
In this type of operation, we try to double our cost of our car plus reconditioning.
You're going to have to fix it. Are you a mechanic?
If we pay $300 for a car, put $100 in it, we're in at $400. We try to ask $799. We try to double it. That doesn't mean we get it. Sometimes we do.
Sure. If it don't start, don't blame me. Wait right there.
To me, it's just as important to sell a car for $199 as it is one for $11.99. The $199 car usually means a new customer. And the way we treat the new customer is the way we get our repeat business.
Do you want to make payments or you want to pay cash? What's the matter with payments? I make more money that way. What? I make more money that way.
A lot of times I'll talk a man out of a cash deal and tell him to pay me, well, pay me 3/4 of it and pay me $10, $15 a week on the balance. Establish your credit with me. You may never know when you may want another car.
Get this. She can't drive no stick. She can't drive a stick. I taught my wife to drive everything. How about this little Rambler? Start this up. See if it's an automatic first. Yeah. Yeah. Close the door. You never know when they jump out of gear. My God, it runs.
As far as keeping the car running, I spend 90% of my reconditioning after sale rather than before sale. This is strictly psychology.
You want to take it around the block?
There's always a chance the customer will fix something himself, you know, without asking you to pay for it. It may sound a little bit shady, but it isn't. Some people are embarrassed to ask what they rightfully have coming. Safety-wise, however, everything is checked.
If you take your word, my word for mine, I'll take your word for yours.
The nucleus of any business is your old customers, not your new customers. This pays the basic overhead.
What do you give me for this?
I asked you if you're going to drive my car before you buy it.
You're in business today, ain't you?
Yeah, I'm in business today. I'll guarantee you can go to New York and back in this car. No way your Falcon Wagon's a better car today.
Trade me even up if I show you it is?
The worst thing to do in buying a car, however, is impulse buying. Like most youngsters, the first thing they want is a 4-speed. That's the last thing they should buy because it's been driven by 16 youngsters already. And the first man that bought it was a hot rodder. He wouldn't have bought it new. I should buy an easy car in a 6-cylinder, automatic transmission. If you don't know about a car, take it to a mechanic. And if the dealer says you can't take it to a mechanic, don't buy it.
You're breaking my heart. I was reaching from 150 to 200. Now you're breaking my heart when you say 220.
Quit worrying about price. A dealer has to make a profit to stay in business. There's no way to chisel a dealer down to the point where he's going to lose money in a car. He can't do it.
I want to congratulate you. You made it back. Howdy, ma'am. It took a lot of guts to take your wife and baby in one of my jalopies, I'll tell you for sure. But it made it back, didn't it?
Yeah, it made it back. She don't like them. No problem.
She don't like it.
No, I really have to find one that she can make payments on.
If we're going to make payments, just 3 questions.
Yeah.
How long have you been in your job?
My job?
Yeah.
5 years.
Who do you work for? In extending credit, it's a matter of experience, I believe. The finance company will loan $500 to a working man, and he'll check credit out.
Yeah.
What do you do there?
I'm a technician.
I see no necessity of checking credit if I'm reasonably assured through my own training that the man is telling me the truth, and I train my salesman to do the same thing. And you would be surprised how few con jobs we get in here. I mean, out-and-out con jobs. Okay, you can buy any car in the lot with $300 down. Anything else you want? Any car in the lot. So let's get over on the good cars.
All right.
Find a car for your wife, okay? Make sure it's got brakes again. Okay. On this car, the way I operate it, you find anything wrong with it, I'll fix it before I deliver it. Fair enough? Everything here is customer relations, from the time they walk onto the lot to the time they pay off their car. We'll put just as much guarantee on a cheap car as we will an expensive car, what we call an expensive car. Now, if he's a buyer, he'll buy the car. If he isn't, he won't buy it, because that's the best car in the lot. When it comes to buying a car, the difference between paying cash and financing is a lot of money. If you buy a $1,000 car, they charge you 1% financing in most places. It varies from state to state. In California, you can charge 1% a month. It's a lot of money. You never pay on a contract that you can buy for cash. A customer walks into my lot, he's king right away. If he just tells me in advance, he has a cash. There's no doubt about it. The only advantages of financing a car is if you don't have the money to, you could be driving while you're paying, but otherwise there's absolutely no advantage. You're just paying for something you don't need. Okay, where are we?
She can pay $30 every 2 weeks.
We're in.
Huh?
Okay, you own an automobile. No problem. Do you want to come in and we'll start right in? She's still looking, Rose. I can't rush a woman, you know. I keep an old office. The Adobe gas station I'm in was built in 1918. I try to keep it clean, which is pretty rough to do, but I don't dare have real beautiful furniture. I keep an old counter. We wear old clothes, but clean around here. When you're dealing with working class people, you have to deal in the surroundings that they will accept. If you put them in a fancy office with rugs on the floor and curtains on the window or drapes and fancy telephone, they're going to be scared to come in. I would say that if I was on a better location, I would have a better looking lot and more class to the office. But I like it the way it is, and the customers like it. Mr. DeVoe, you'll do me one last favor, please. Get that piece of junk off my lot. Invariably, when they come on Saturday and Sunday and make their payment, they bring a friend. And it's a friend I'm looking for, not so much them. And that's why we keep the few nicer cars we carry around the office. Those are the impulse buying cars. Did you get one? I've tried everything. We've given away whistles here. We've given away pop guns. We've given away calendars. But the best thing of all is the suckers, and they happen to be the cheapest. The kids come looking for Trader Vic now, and they follow me around like a Pied Piper. But they bring the neighborhood kids. Their parents want to know why the kids all want to come down here. Who's Trader Vic? Now, I'm not going to put it in dollars and cents, but I'll guarantee you that when I buy 10,000 suckers and give them away in 3 months, that I pay for it 50 times over. Hey, future customer, look at that smile. That smile worth $1 million? See? Another idea came to me at one time, that we still had to get something to get the new customer happy with us, not the old customer. Keeping this in mind, I took some coins and I soaked them in water for 2 weeks. They got good and rusty and dirty looking. And the next new customer that traded in a car, I took 36 cents and wrote a handwritten note to him stating that, and when we cleaned out his trade-in, we found this money and it was his, and we were glad to send it back to him. Thank you very much, and sign it, Trader Vic. The man came in with a letter in his hand and his neighbor bought a car. I made $400 on that neighbor's car. Now we do it on every 5th trade-in that comes in, whether it's customer, new or old, but we have to keep pretty close track of it because you don't want to hit the same man. I couldn't believe it. Now, with these deals we've been putting together here the last hour and a half, we've been moving automobiles. We've got about 10 cars delivered so far with deposits on 3 others I just checked. This is a good Saturday. We're getting good play, and we're getting a lot of lookers, which means they'll be back tomorrow also. And that's what counts. It isn't so much what you sell today, it's how many people you get interested in cars. I'll guarantee to push it home if it don't make it. Fair enough?
Okay, right.
Fair enough?
Well,
You live in the valley, I hope.
yeah, we just live in Redbird.
Okay. Are you ready? Let's go.